Famous Black Men Who Married Older Women That Will Shock You, Part 2. Welcome to our channel, Legends of Black Excellence. In today's video, we're diving into the surprising love stories of famous black men who married older women, defying norms and rewriting Hollywood's rulebook on romance. From secretive unions to iconic pairings, these relationships prove that age is just a number when the connection is real. Some will inspire you, others might shock you, so stick around, because you won't believe who made this list. Ving Rhames and Deborah Reed. When you think of Ving Rhames, you probably picture the deep-voiced powerhouse from Pulp Fiction or the ever-reliable Luther Stickle in Mission Impossible. But off-screen, Rhames lives a quieter, more grounded life, one shaped significantly by his longtime partner, Deborah Reed, who just happens to be 9 years his senior. Their marriage, which began in 2000, raised a few eyebrows when it first came to light. Not only because of the age difference, but also because Deborah wasn't a name familiar to most Hollywood watchers. While Ving's name lit up movie posters, Deborah carved her own path away from the glitz. An actress with credits in both film and TV, she never chased the limelight. Instead, she played a more subtle but equally vital role in their shared journey, offering unwavering support as Ving's career soared to international fame. Despite the scrutiny that often trails age-gap relationships in Hollywood, Ving and Deborah have remained remarkably low-key. They've chosen to shield their love from tabloids and social media frenzies, focusing instead on building a life centered on mutual respect, loyalty, and deep connection. In interviews, Rhames rarely misses a chance to highlight Deborah's intelligence and strength, crediting her as one of the key reasons he stays grounded in a chaotic industry. In a world where celebrity romances often fizzle out in front of flashing cameras, Ving Rhames and Deborah Reed are proof that love doesn't need to follow a script, or be age-appropriate by society's standards, to stand the test of time. Their story is less about Hollywood flash and more about something rare, a bond that grows stronger out of the spotlight. Miles Davis and Cicely Tyson. Miles Davis and Cicely Tyson's relationship was a collision of two titans, one from the world of jazz, the other from the stage and screen. They married in 1981, with Cicely being 2 years older than Miles. By then, Tyson was already an acclaimed actress, celebrated for her groundbreaking roles in Sounder and the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, while Davis was an icon whose innovations had already reshaped modern music. Their marriage was as passionate as it was turbulent. Davis, known for his brilliance, was also infamous for his volatility and struggles with addiction. Tyson, by contrast, brought grace, discipline, and emotional resilience to the union. While she offered stability and support, the relationship wasn't without conflict. Davis's erratic behavior, mood swings, and emotional distance tested their bond repeatedly. Tyson later acknowledged that their time together was filled with both profound love and considerable hardship. Despite the stormy dynamics, their connection was undeniably deep. They shared moments of intense affection and creative alignment, and Tyson remained by his side during difficult periods, including health battles and career shifts. Yet by 1988, the marriage unraveled under the weight of their differences, and they quietly divorced after 7 years. Even after their separation, Tyson spoke about Davis with compassion and admiration. In her memoir, she reflected on their relationship not with bitterness, but with a sense of spiritual connection. For both, the marriage left a lasting emotional imprint. Tyson continued to shine in Hollywood, breaking barriers for black women, while Davis remained an enduring figure in jazz until his death in 1991. Their love story wasn't idealized, it was complex, raw, and real. But in its own way, it defied expectations and left behind a legacy of mutual respect between two of the most influential black artists of the 20th century. Harold Morrison and Toni Morrison. Harold Morrison and Toni Morrison's marriage was brief but quietly influential, unfolding long before she became a literary legend. They wed in the mid-1950s, at a time when interracial marriages were still rare and often frowned upon. Harold, a Jamaican-born architect, was just a few months younger than Toni, but their shared intellectual curiosity and creative energy initially bonded them. The couple had 2 sons together, and for a time, they seemed poised to build a life grounded in family and ambition. However, as Toni's passion for storytelling deepened, cracks in the marriage began to surface. They divorced in 1964, marking the end of their romantic relationship but the beginning of Tony's ascent toward literary greatness. Though their time as a couple was short-lived, the emotional and logistical realities of being a single mother profoundly shaped the themes and emotional depth of her writing. Toni Morrison, who would go on to win the Nobel Prize in Literature, often explored the intricacies of love, loss, identity, and Black womanhood, topics that were no doubt colored by her own experiences with Harold. While she rarely spoke publicly about the details of their marriage, it's clear that the challenges she faced during and after it, particularly navigating motherhood while pursuing a writing career, fueled the empathy and power found in her characters. Harold Morrison continued his work as an architect and academic, maintaining a lower profile compared to his ex-wife's rising fame. Though he never reached the global acclaim Toni did, his early presence in her life helped shape the woman who would become one of the most revered voices in American literature. Their relationship may not have endured, but its echoes can be felt in the emotional textures of Morrison's most celebrated work. Blair Underwood and Desiree DaCosta. Blair Underwood and Desiree DaCosta's relationship stood out in Hollywood not for scandal or spectacle, but for its quiet longevity, and the fact that Desiree was 7 years older than Blair. They married in 1994, a time when Blair was gaining recognition for his roles in LA Law and Deep Impact, while Desiree was building her own career in the entertainment industry, working behind the scenes at Eddie Murphy Productions. Their age gap didn't follow the usual Hollywood script, but that didn't seem to matter. The couple forged a strong bond rooted in mutual respect, shared goals, and unwavering support for one another. While Blair was frequently in the spotlight, Desiree played a crucial role in the background, balancing motherhood, her own career pursuits, and being a steady presence through the ups and downs of fame. Over the course of their 26-year marriage, the pair raised 3 children and maintained a reputation as one of the more grounded couples in show business. They weren't chasing headlines or reality TV fame, they were building a life. Their split in 2020 came as a surprise to many who had admired their seemingly solid partnership, but both approached the separation with grace, publicly expressing love and gratitude for their time together. Desiree has since continued her work as a businesswoman and philanthropist, largely avoiding the spotlight, while Blair has remained active in film and television. Despite going their separate ways, their decades-long relationship remains a rare example of a respectful, loving union that thrived quietly behind the cameras, even with a non-traditional age dynamic. In a world obsessed with youth and image, they proved that love can last when it's built on shared values and deep emotional connection. Lenny Kravitz and Lisa Bonet. Lenny Kravitz and Lisa Bonet's relationship was a whirlwind of creativity, chemistry, and cool. When they married in 1987, Lisa was already a household name thanks to her role as Denise Huxtable on The Cosby Show, while Lenny was an emerging musician still defining his sound. Lisa was 4 years older than Lenny, and their bond defied the usual expectations, electric, artistic, and ahead of its time. Their love story began with instant connection. Both were fiercely independent, spiritually curious, and artistically driven. They embodied a kind of bohemian glamour that made them one of the most admired couples of the late 80s and early 90s. Together, they had a daughter, Zoe Kravitz, who would later follow in both parents' creative footsteps to become a star in her own right. Their marriage only lasted 6 years, ending in 1993, but their relationship never truly faded. Lenny and Lisa remained close friends, co-parenting Zoe with mutual respect and affection. Unlike many celebrity exes, they avoided drama, choosing instead to nurture a lifelong connection built on admiration and shared experience. Lenny has frequently spoken about Lisa as one of the great loves of his life, crediting her with influencing not only his personal growth but also his music. Lisa continued to act in projects like Angel Heart and High Fidelity, maintaining her ethereal presence in Hollywood, while Lenny's career skyrocketed with hits like Fly Away and Are You Gonna Go My Way. Their post-marriage bond, often described as unbreakable, became just as admired as their romance. Even though they didn't stay together as a couple, Lenny Kravitz and Lisa Bonet remain an enduring example of how a relationship, despite age differences or changing circumstances, can evolve into something beautiful, lasting, and deeply respectful. Hugh Masekela and Miriam Makeba. Hugh Masekela and Miriam Makeba were more than just a married couple, they were a cultural force. When they wed in 1964, Miriam was already a global music icon, 7 years older than Hugh and known as Mama Africa for her powerful voice and activism. Hugh, a rising jazz trumpeter from South Africa, was still carving out his place in the international music scene. Together, they became a symbol of artistic unity and resistance during the height of apartheid. Their marriage was rooted not only in love but in shared purpose. Both exiled from their homeland, they used their platforms to bring global attention to the oppression of Black South Africans. Their performances weren't just concerts, they were acts of political defiance. From the stages of New York to global festivals, they uplifted African culture and condemned racial injustice. But as powerful as their union was, it wasn't built to last. The pressures of fame, distance, and their individual ambitions eventually pulled them apart. They divorced in 1973, less than a decade after they married. Yet despite their separation, their mutual respect never faded. They remained friends, collaborators, and vocal supporters of each other's work until Miriam's passing in 2008. Hugh, who continued to perform and speak out against injustice until his death in 2018, often reflected fondly on his time with Miriam. Their marriage may have been brief, but its impact was profound. It wasn't just a love story, it was a historical moment. Two of Africa's most influential voices joined in art, activism, and a shared dream of freedom, proving that some relationships, though short-lived, can leave a legacy that echoes far beyond romance. Jesse Williams and Aaron Drakely. Jesse Williams and Aaron Drakely's relationship began long before fame complicated things. Both born in 1981, they met when Jesse was still a schoolteacher in New York, and Aaron was already establishing herself as a successful real estate broker. Their connection was built on shared ambition and mutual respect, not red carpets or celebrity headlines. They married in 2012 after several years together, and during the early phase of Jesse's rise to stardom, most notably with his breakout role on Grey's Anatomy, Aaron remained a steady presence behind the scenes. She wasn't just a supportive spouse, she was also instrumental in helping Jesse manage his career transitions, business decisions, and the launch of projects like his production company and social justice work. Although there was no age gap between them, their relationship still drew intense public scrutiny, largely due to Jesse's increasing visibility. As his fame grew, so did speculation about their personal life. The media often fixated on their dynamic, trying to create a narrative around their equality in age as somehow unremarkable, despite the fact that their marriage represented a rare example of long-term love that had predated Hollywood success. Their separation in 2017, after 5 years of marriage, made headlines and sparked legal battles over custody and finances. Yet through it all, both remained focused on co-parenting their 2 children. Jesse has continued acting and directing, while Aaron has kept a low profile, focusing on wellness advocacy and her entrepreneurial ventures. Their story may not have followed the Hollywood fairy tale ending, but it remains a grounded reminder that even relationships without an age gap can face tremendous pressure under the public eye. What started as a private love between equals became a public unraveling, but one handled with strength and dignity on both sides. Nate Parker and Sarah DeSanto. Nate Parker and Sarah DeSanto's marriage defied stereotypes from the start. They tied the knot in 2007, with Sarah being 7 years older than Nate, a detail that rarely made headlines but added a unique layer to their relationship. While Nate was gaining recognition for his roles in The Great Debaters, Red Tails, and later The Birth of a Nation, Sarah maintained a private life, far from the Hollywood spotlight. Their bond was forged long before Nate became a household name. Sarah, an artist and entrepreneur, stood beside him through the highs and lows of his career, including moments of acclaim and controversy. Unlike many celebrity couples whose lives are chronicled in tabloids, Nate and Sarah kept their relationship incredibly low profile. There were no red carpet overexposures or social media displays, just a quiet, committed partnership focused on raising their family. The couple has 2 daughters and built a life based on shared values, not public validation. While Nate's career faced turbulence, especially after resurfaced allegations surrounding his past, Sarah remained a steady force in his life, offering support away from the glare of public judgment. Her presence during these challenges was a testament to their deep bond, one that prioritized family and privacy over fame. Despite occasional curiosity about their age gap, their story has always been more about resilience than numbers. Together, they've shown that true partnership isn't about matching years on paper, it's about mutual respect, loyalty, and weathering life's storms side by side. In a culture obsessed with youth and image, Nate Parker and Sarah DeSanto's relationship is a quiet but powerful example of enduring love that doesn't need headlines to prove its worth. Wesley Snipes and April Eloise DuBois. Wesley Snipes and April Eloise DuBois shared a short-lived but formative chapter in the early days of the action star's rise. The two married in the late 1980s, before Wesley became a household name with hits like New Jack City, White Men Can't Jump, and Blade. April, a few years older than Wesley, was a producer and martial artist with her own ties to the entertainment world. Their relationship unfolded away from the flashing cameras, at a time when both were still finding their footing in their respective careers. Though their age difference was modest, it still stood out in a culture that often expects older men to partner with younger women. Yet for Wesley and April, the focus seemed to be on growth, both individually and as a unit. They had a son together, Jelani Asar Snipes, born in 1988. But as Wesley's fame skyrocketed, the relationship became strained. The demands of Hollywood, combined with the pressures of young parenthood and career divergence, ultimately led to their separation in 1990, just a few years after tying the knot. Despite the brevity of their marriage, Wesley has spoken respectfully of recognizing her as a part of his early journey. While he went on to marry Nikki Park and continue building his career, April stepped away from public life, pursuing work behind the scenes and keeping a low profile. Their time together may not have endured, but it marked an important period in both of their lives, one filled with ambition, transformation, and the quiet complexities that often come with young love in the shadow of rising fame. Kenny Lattimore and Shantae Moore. Kenny Lattimore and Shantae Moore were once considered one of R&B's most beloved power couples. When they married in 2002, fans were thrilled to see two soulful voices come together both on and off the stage. Shantae, already a seasoned star known for hits like Shantae's Got a Man, was 4 years older than Kenny, whose romantic ballads like For You had made him a favorite among love song enthusiasts. Their age difference was subtle, but their chemistry was unmistakable. They frequently performed together, released a duet album titled Things That Lovers Do, and appeared in public as a united front. The pairing felt authentic, two artists who understood the demands of the music industry and seemed to share not just talent, but values. Behind the scenes, however, the pressures of maintaining a marriage in the public eye were mounting. Between the demands of touring, parenting, and navigating careers that often moved in different directions, cracks began to show. Despite their efforts to work through challenges, the couple announced their divorce in 2011, nearly a decade after saying, "I do." Their separation came as a surprise to many fans who had seen them as a harmonious team both personally and professionally. Yet both Kenny and Shantae handled the split with grace. There were no messy headlines, only mutual respect and a focus on co-parenting their son and continuing their respective careers. Today, both continue to thrive, Kenny with his timeless solo projects and Shantae balancing music and television appearances. Though their marriage didn't last forever, it remains a shining example of artistic synergy and grown-up love. The slight age gap never defined them, it was the music, mutual admiration, and genuine connection that made their union so memorable. Teddy Pendergrass and Karen Still. Teddy Pendergrass and Karen Still shared a relationship that blended passion, fame, and devotion during one of the most dynamic periods in R&B history. They married in 1987, when Teddy was already a soul icon with hits like Turn Off the Lights and Close the Door. Karen, a talented dancer and entertainer, was 6 years older than Teddy, an age gap that challenged traditional expectations, especially in the male-dominated music world. Their connection ran deeper than the spotlight. Karen wasn't just a romantic partner, she became a steady presence in Teddy's life during some of his most challenging years. After his life-altering car accident in 1982, which left him paralyzed from the chest down, Teddy faced both personal and professional hurdles. Karen played a key role in his recovery, emotionally, physically, and logistically, helping him reclaim his independence and continue his musical legacy. Though their marriage was ultimately short-lived, it left a lasting impact. Karen's support helped Teddy navigate not just the pressures of fame, but also the immense personal struggle that came with his new reality. She stood by his side during major moments of resilience, including his return to the stage at Live Aid in 1985 and his continued recording success post-accident. The two eventually separated, but the respect between them endured. Karen Pendergrass, as she became known, chose to live mostly outside the limelight, while Teddy remained a beloved figure in R&B until his passing in 2010 at the age of 59. Their relationship wasn't defined by duration, but by depth. Karen's presence during Teddy's most vulnerable moments speaks volumes, not just about love, but about the kind of loyalty that transcends age, fame, and hardship. Jamal Bryant and Giselle Bryant. Jamal Bryant and Giselle Bryant's relationship was a mix of power, ambition, and public scrutiny. They married in 2002, with Giselle being 2 years older than Jamal. At the time, Jamal was a rising pastor with a growing national presence, while Giselle was navigating life as a businesswoman, mother, and eventually, a reality TV star. Their marriage lasted nearly 8 years and brought them 3 daughters, but it was far from smooth. Jamal's high-profile role as a pastor at one of the nation's largest black churches came with enormous pressure and controversy. Allegations of infidelity and personal missteps followed him throughout the marriage, ultimately leading to their divorce in 2009. Years later, their story took a surprising turn when they rekindled their relationship, this time in the public eye, on The Real Housewives of Potomac, where Giselle had become one of the show's standout personalities. Viewers watched as the two attempted to rebuild what they once had, co-parenting their daughters while navigating unresolved tensions and very public judgment. Their age difference was rarely a talking point compared to the emotional roller coaster their relationship became. Still, it added a subtle twist to the dynamic, with Giselle often portrayed as the more grounded, take-no-nonsense partner. While their second chance at romance eventually fizzled out again, they've remained committed co-parents and, at times, business collaborators. Today, Giselle continues to thrive on reality television and in entrepreneurship, while Jamal remains an influential voice in the church and social justice space. Their story isn't a fairy tale, but it's real, full of growth, conflict, forgiveness, and ultimately, mutual respect. The age gap may have been small, but the impact of their relationship continues to unfold, both on-screen and off. Ralph Tresvant and Shelley Tresvant. Ralph Tresvant and Shelley Tresvant shared a love story that began long before fame and fans entered the picture. Ralph, the smooth-voiced frontman of New Edition, married Shelley in 1993, when his solo career was taking off. Shelley, who was 3 years older than Ralph, had been by his side throughout his early rise in the music industry, a presence of stability and support amid the chaos of superstardom. Their relationship was rooted in history. Long before the stages and tours, they had built a bond based on trust and familiarity. As Ralph stepped into the spotlight, Shelley remained in the background, focused on their home and children. Together, they had 3 kids and for a time, were viewed as one of the more grounded couples in the R&B world. The slight age gap between them never became a public talking point. What stood out instead was their long-standing connection and the loyalty they showed one another in a world known for fleeting romances. Shelley supported Ralph as he juggled the demands of fame and fatherhood, choosing to maintain a low profile rather than chase celebrity attention. But like many relationships shaped under the pressure of the public eye, theirs eventually unraveled. In 2004, after more than a decade of marriage, the couple quietly parted ways. Despite the split, they remained on good terms, co-parenting their children and continuing to share mutual respect. While their love story didn't make headlines for scandal or controversy, it resonated with fans who appreciated the sincerity and history behind it. Shelley may not have shared Ralph's spotlight, but she was a steady force in the formative years of his journey, proof that some of the most meaningful relationships don't need attention to be deeply significant. Steve Harvey and Marcia Harvey. Steve Harvey and Marcia Harvey's relationship dates back to a time before Steve became a household name. The two married in the early 1980s, long before the fame, fortune, and multi-hyphenate career that would come to define him. Marcia, a successful businesswoman, was 3 years older than Steve, and played a vital role in his early life as a struggling comedian trying to make a name for himself. Their marriage produced 3 children and spanned over a decade, during which Steve pursued his dreams of stand-up comedy and showbiz, often at the expense of stability at home. While Steve chased gigs on the road, Marcia was left to hold down the fort, managing family life and building her own career. The strain of distance, ambition, and growing apart eventually took its toll, and the couple divorced in 1994. Despite the challenges and their eventual separation, Steve has publicly acknowledged the important role Marcia played during his early grind. She supported him financially and emotionally while he took major risks trying to break into the entertainment industry, a journey that often meant absence and uncertainty. Marcia chose to remain outside the spotlight following their divorce, raising their children quietly and maintaining her privacy. Meanwhile, Steve's career exploded with TV shows, books, and global recognition. He later married Marjorie Harvey, with whom he's built a blended family and brand empire. Though their marriage didn't last, Steve and Marcia's story is a reminder that the foundation of success is often laid by those who believe in us long before the world does. Their age difference was never the headline. What mattered was the role Marcia played in Steve's earliest, hungriest years, when belief and loyalty meant more than fame. Taye Diggs and Idina Menzel. Taye Diggs and Idina Menzel's love story began under the bright lights of Broadway, where the two met while starring in the original production of Rent in 1996. Idina, a powerhouse vocalist and actress, was just a few months older than Taye, but that slight age difference was never the focus. What captured attention was their undeniable chemistry, both on stage and off. They married in 2003 and quickly became one of the most admired interracial couples in the entertainment world. With Taye's success in film and television, How Stella Got Her Groove Back, The Best Man, Private Practice, and Idina's breakout in Wicked and later Frozen, their careers flourished side by side. They welcomed a son, Walker, in 2009, and for years, their marriage seemed like a model of shared success and mutual support. But behind the scenes, the pressures of fame, busy schedules, and time apart began to take their toll. In 2014, the couple announced their separation after over a decade together. The news came as a shock to fans, who had long admired their bond and the way they celebrated each other's achievements. Rumors of infidelity and emotional distance circulated, though neither party publicly confirmed the details behind the split. Despite the breakup, Taye and Idina remained respectful and committed co-parents. Both have continued to excel in their careers, Taye in TV and theater, and Idina in music, film, and stage, often speaking positively about the lessons learned from their relationship. Their marriage may not have lasted, but it left behind a legacy of creativity, blended culture, and resilience. The age gap was minimal, but their influence as a couple was significant, proving that love, like art, often leaves its mark even after the curtain falls. Love doesn't always follow society's script, and these powerful couples prove it. From actors and musicians to spiritual leaders and cultural icons, these Black men embraced relationships that challenged age norms and spotlighted the deeper values of connection, respect, and shared growth. Whether their love stories stood the test of time or ended in parting, each one left a lasting impression on how we see romance in the public eye. Which couple's story surprised or inspired you the most? Do you believe age really matters in a relationship, or is it all about the bond? We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and join the conversation. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with others who appreciate powerful, unconventional love stories. And for more inspiring stories that celebrate Black excellence, make sure to subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence.